Good afternoon. Welcome to the Engineering Influence podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. I'm Dave Bender, Vice President for Political Affairs for ACEC. It's great to talk to you today. And today I have a really cool, awesome guest here that is a very influential guy within the state of Texas, within our organization of ACEC. And he's been a great partner and a great friend. Mr. Lee Lennard, ladies and gentlemen. Lee Lennard, a little bit about him. Lee is probably the best listener that I've ever come across. But today I'm going to ask him to be a little bit less listener, and I want him to do a little bit more talking on this one because he has a lot of knowledge to share about the topic that we want to talk about. Lee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be with you.
Good. For the people that may not know you, Lee, you're the chairman, CEO, and president of BGE, engineering firm in Houston, Texas. Tell us a little bit about how many people and employees you have there.
Sure. It's been my honor to serve as president and CEO of BGE since 2014, so I'm in my 10th year of service. BGE is a full-service civil engineering consulting firm headquartered in Houston, founded in 1975. We have a little over 1,000 employees, and our business is generally half serving in the public sector and half in the private sector. Offices in Texas, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina.
So you're obviously growing a lot too, and your business is booming. Everything's bigger than Texas, and obviously, but it's good to see that you're in other states as well.
That's right. Our recipe for success is vibrancy through diversification of geographies, markets, services, clients. And so while we spent the first 35 years of our existence just in Texas, since that time, through a visioning exercise to maintain that vibrancy, we have, beginning in 2016, looked to expand beyond the bounds of Texas. Certainly we're not leaving Texas.
Good.
Texas is a great place to grow and to practice engineering, but adding these other opportunities in other fast-growing markets and other fast-growing states.
Good. Well, BGE's been a great member. In fact, in the PAC, we have a top 10 every year, the top 10 givers. Kimley Horn obviously is number one. They really have a good program of political giving through their state member organizations. But BGE may not be the size of Kimley Horn, but they always rank in the top 10. And so we thank you for your encouragement, your engagement, how you encourage your employees to be involved in the PAC, as well as other aspects of political giving, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. So thank you for that on behalf of the ACEC PAC.
You're welcome. Well, our owners see the benefit and value of ACEC and advocating for our common business interests. And they put their energy and effort into it, and they also put their money into it through the PAC. Good.
Well, thank you again. And 2024, folks, it's an election year. And it's all things politics, all things political. It's really a big deal for us in ACEC to be right at the forefront with our members of Congress, and even down all the way down to the State House and even to your local city halls. And BGE is a perfect example of engagement in that. But one of the things we want to talk about is ACEC's political giving program. It's something that the PAC is really well known. People give to the PAC. We're very, very strong. In today's Board of Directors meeting, you heard people, Jay Wolverton, our outgoing chair, say that we're in the top 1% of all federal PAC trade associations in Washington, D.C., which is just amazing. When I tell that to members of Congress, they're actually taken aback by little old engineers are just so politically engaged and involved, and so it's good to see that. But you all in Texas have been engaged for years in a political giving program on your state level. Tell us a little bit about that, how it got started, and what happens with that.
Right. Well, at the state level, we have a very robust direct giving program, and so member firms that are part of our political policy committee, they pledge to give a certain amount based on the firm size, and then at the state organization orchestrates our giving program so that we have a force multiplier for those either candidates or those incumbents that are favorable to our business interests. And And so it's a great program that marries the relational aspect of having these relationships with the state lawmakers, and then supporting those that are supporters of our industry. And we've had tremendous success with that. More targeted with this state program than spread across all members of the state legislature. But to find those champions of infrastructure within our legislative body, and to fund good governance in that process, and reward those that see the essential need for engineering and infrastructure, and those that create a favorable business environment for our member firms.
So with those, you've seen the benefits, obviously, probably fairly immediate benefits of having these special lawmakers that you've decided to, which ones fit within your strategic plans of your strategic giving program. So you probably do see immediate benefits with the relationship and how they react to what your needs are and everything. Correct?
Absolutely. Writing a check is sometimes the easier part, isn't it? Putting in the time to develop the relationships is a real key component of our direct giving program as well.
Do you all set a target dollar amount at these events for overall, or do you set a dollar amount also just on the individual? And what's that based on? Is it all voluntary through your members? Go in a little bit more of the detail, the sausage making of
Sure.
that.
So within our Public Policy Council, the PPC, we have about 60 member firms. Each at the beginning of every cycle, 2-year cycle, signs on to be to provide a certain level of resources. Then our MO, Peyton McKnight, Scott Stewart, they orchestrate all that. So they now have a commitment of a large sum of money that they can then plan accordingly for those infrastructure champions within the legislature that we target. One of our best friends in the legislature, Speaker of the House Dade Phelan, for example, we hosted a fundraiser for Dade, and we raised him north of $40,000, and that was orchestrated by Scott Stewart to call upon these 60 member firms that have made these commitments, and for them to bring those checks and host the fundraiser. And Dade has done tremendous things for Texas, business-friendly, pro-infrastructure Speaker of the House. Just one example.
And you do Democrats as well as Republicans on this, am I correct?
Absolutely. The political winds don't always blow in one direction, and so it's about who are our friends. And I would say that we have just as many Democratic friends as we do Republican friends. We're not D and we're not R, we're I. And I is for infrastructure.
Amen. Amen to that. Here in Washington, D.C., when we are very much like Texas when it comes to our federal PAC. We give about 50-50. 50% Democrat of the money goes to Democrats, 50% go to Republicans. Obviously, there's a little fluctuation in that, but we're almost dead even with it. And we get a lot of our sister associations that are really Republican-based questioning us like, why are you giving so much money to Democrats? We're a business organization. I said, exactly. Democrats are just as friendly as Republicans are. We're going to give whoever money, support those who support us. And we're finding that Democrats are really that way. And you found that too in Texas?
Absolutely.
That's great. That's
Absolutely.
great. Well, how does that translate to the national? So what is your vision actually for ACEC? Does it replace the PAC? Does it go along with the PAC? Explain a little bit about your vision about how something like this would happen with ACEC National.
Well, I'm just excited about what Linda's leadership is bringing in this regard, and in particular you, Dave, and Steve Hall. Excited about seeing the fruit of this notion of how do we enhance our PAC? Not replace the PAC. How might we enhance it? How might we expand our influence? And maybe those listening might say, well, wait a minute, it's $1 million plus PAC. Why would we mess with a good thing? And I would say we're not proposing, are we, to mess with a good thing? We're looking to enhance a good thing and have something additive to the PAC that members would participate in on a voluntary basis, that would pool dollars together and be directed for specific targeted friends of ours in Congress, probably equal parts D, equal parts R, those that are friendly to I, and you just don't know, again, from one year to the next, how those political winds can shift. So we do want to spread our influence broadly, certainly not to 450 members, but we do, I think the vision would be to target these true champions of infrastructure that have influence within Congress, that other congressional members listen to and respect, that we can go to with our issues. I don't know what that number is, but I would have to think, and you and I have talked about this previously, something along the order of 20 to 40 members that we would host targeted fundraisers for through a direct giving program. The PAC dollars would be the seed money for these fundraisers, but then we would have this other program, which is yet to be named, that would be more of the direct giving that you would orchestrate to tell participants, hey, bring your check for this amount to this event, and we're gonna have one of those at our convention in a couple of nights as well.
We are, yes, and thanks for mentioning that. It's Congressman Ron Estes. Ron is a Republican from the state of Kansas. He's a professional engineer, but not by trade. He's got a degree in civil engineering, but he's not licensed. He fell in love with tax policy and finance, and is all about business. And he's the one who kind of took the R&D issue that was so important to us and ran with it, which was a part of the big tax package, which passed with 370 votes. Ron single-handedly, along with some colleagues of his, really worked it hard to get that. So we want to basically, this is kind of what we're talking about is very similar to what this is helping, enhance the political giving that we gave Ron through the PAC. This way we really show our value, show our champions. He gets to know us a little bit better, we get to know him a little bit better, and he'll see us as an ally, and we see him as an ally. So it's a good
because
partnership.
we are limited through the PAC on how much we can provide directly to Ron Estes. This direct giving program, again, to expand our effectiveness would be above and beyond that, so that we're not limited in a fundraiser to bring him a $5,000 check. We can have the $5,000 check from the ACE PAC bundled with, let's just say 20 of us show up, each of us provide $1,000. Now we've got a $25,000 for Senator Estes.
So Lee, you've explained the program very eloquently about how it works in Texas, how it should just seamlessly work here with ACEC. Would all events, for example, have to take place in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I would think not. I think that the place we really want to connect with these elected officials are in their districts. And I think regardless of where they are from by state, we want a program that targets those 20 to 40 influencers, and we'll go where they are potentially, to their district. And well, what if I'm in this program as a member, but none of these champions are within my state? Does that mean I can't contribute? Well, I would say absolutely not. This is a national program. We would host fundraisers in their districts. I would foresee a couple a month. Takes us to 24 a year to do that math. But again, the political winds shift. So while for one period of time, we might not have a fundraiser in a particular state because that state doesn't have who we've deemed are our infrastructure champions. That's not to say the winds shift and that wouldn't change after an evaluation and input from our PAC champions to understand where do we want to, what is the list, who is on the list, where do we want to focus our relational capital and expand our influence.
So obviously we would be working with our advocacy team, both state and national, to talk about who best fits what our legislative agenda is. 2025 is going to be a big year, even though we want to start this year and get it rolling out this year. But 2025, this is going to be a critical part of our advocacy policy agenda that we want to roll out. So it's kind of good to dovetail it into the PAC program and be a little bit more politically strategic. Talk a little bit about what some of your vision is as far as time frame. How do people offer up and say, hey, I'd love to volunteer to help with this? Is there a certain amount, a limit that you have in mind, or maybe even Texas that people give, or what's the minimum amount? Can anyone participate in this program?
Anyone can participate. I think that an ideal number might be $500,000 that's raised, that's committed into this program, that comes from a couple hundred members that say, yes, I want to be part of this. To get to a number that significant so that we have $10,000 and $20,000 fundraisers for our champions of infrastructure means that I think members would be thinking about committing something between $1,000 to $5,000 a year on top of our current commitments. And we do look to not just go to the same well necessarily and hit up the same people that have carried our political water for so long financially, but let's expand the tent, let's bring more people in, and let's get our members to engage, build these relationships, and we will see the fruit of that labor and expanded influence.
I agree. You mentioned the $500 million or $500,000, $500,000, which people listening will probably think, wow, Lee, that's a lot of money to raise individually on top of the 1.3 that we're giving into the PAC. That seems like a lot of money. But I would remind people that 10 years ago when we were talking about $1 million goal, or 12 years ago when they were talking about the PAC going to $1 million PAC, $1 million goal, everyone thought that was outrageous and a lot of money to raise. Yet we did it in about 3 or 4 years, and now we've even exceeded that, and now it's just become part of the everyday life at ACEC. So the same can happen with the direct giving goal that you set of $500,000. We don't have to reach it the first year. We'd love to, and that's the absolute awesome target to achieve for. But yes, it would be really, really good. So the question I have for you is, what if we identify 20 members based on our advocacy and our targets and where we want to strategically align with the advocacy and the political program with some of ACEC's issues. As you know, sometimes issues just pop up out of the blue. We have to kind of shift where we do our work at. What's the hook? What's the hook of people? Why should they give? Why should they be involved? And second part of that question is, what if it's a member of Congress that's not from their state or they don't have a relationship? What's the importance of giving to someone that, why should I give my money if I'm from Connecticut going to someone in Chicago, Illinois?
Yeah, well, the issues that these legislators consider affect all of us, and so it is about the national interest and the national interest for our business. So I think it should be agnostic to the state that these 20 people come from, and I think to the extent we can demonstrate a fairly direct link between this program of direct giving and the impact that we have, the deepening of the connectivity of that relationship with those electeds, the more our members will see the absolute value of this program. I can speak from experience in our Texas work that we've done with direct giving. It's just fantastic to get to know these folks, our infrastructure champions that are elected officials, to know them on a deeply personal level, to have greater access to them because we are one of the foremost and highly sought after PACs that support the things that are important to us in their campaigns.
Agreed. It's an honor to work on behalf of engineers and for folks like yourself, Lee, where you interact in DC with other lobbyists, other trade associations, where they're asking for certain things, but when we ask for something, our agenda is helping the public good. Everything we do is helping the public good. And so there's no issue whatsoever for us to say, wow, we really shouldn't be asking for something like this. We're just helping legislators do their job and provide for their constituents and provide for a better world, I think. Any last thoughts of this program or anything else you want to add to this?
Well, I think it's great, the work that you have done and so many people have done to grow our PAC to over $1 million. And now we're within that 1% of all PACs.
Yes.
This program I see can put us in this rarefied air where, quite candidly, when Dave Bender talks, he is a sought-after commodity among these elected officials because of the strength that he can bring financially to their political aspirations. And that's just going to raise ACEC's profile even further. Again, this isn't a replacement program. We see this, don't we, Dave, as a way to enhance our influence and advocacy on behalf of our organization.
So, Lee, we're going to have to get a bigger tool belt because, as you all know, when we had the PAC early on, then we had the $1 million goal. We made the purchase of our residents, our ACEC residents on Capitol Hill, which is really a great tool to utilize. And now we have this direct giving on top of that. We're just growing and growing and growing. Thanks to leaders like yourself with some vision and also your generosity and the time that you put forth into this. This is really good. So thank you for being here to explain a little bit more. I look forward to working with you and with the rest of our members in building this program basically from the ground all the way up to something exciting and worthwhile to all of our legislative agendas. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for joining the Engineering Influence podcast by the American Council of Engineering Companies. I'm Dave Bender. We want to thank Lee Lennard from BGE for coming here. Thank you again, and we'll see you all soon.